Good morning. How is everyone? Hi. Has everyone signed in or signed the waiver? Good, great. We can get started then. My name is Autumn Reich, and I am with the City of Safety Harbor as a Recreation Supervisor Park Naturalist here at Folly Farms Nature Preserve. I have been with the city for over 20 years, and I am a certified advanced master naturalist since 2019. In 2020, I was reassigned from our community center to Folly Farms to promote and provide programs and events like the one you're attending this morning. So welcome. This morning, we are going to take about a 10-minute walk through our Florida-friendly and native gardens. The path that leads to these gardens is right behind me, and it's of compact grass and gravel. It is not too difficult, nor is it very long. After we visit these gardens, I will take you to our on-site volunteer-run nursery, where volunteers will be on hand to answer questions. Or, if you prefer, you can continue to explore the park. There is a trail that meanders along the back of the property through a swamp and hardwood forest before coming out at the parking lot. It's only about a quarter of a mile long. We just ask that you stay on the path and don't touch any plants or pollinators. Pictures only, please. Before we go, the restrooms are to my right under the building, as well as water fountains to fill your water bottles. It looks like everyone has on good walking shoes and everyone's sprayed with bug repellent, which was a good idea because it can get buggy out here sometimes after rain. At any time during our walk, you need to come back here to the restrooms. Please feel free to do so. We won't be far and you can catch back up with us. So our topic today is about seeds of our future, pollinator pathways. I will share how creating even the smallest native pollinator pathway will provide habitat that will help to reverse the ongoing decline of native pollinators, ensuring a sustainable ecosystem for our future. Can some of you name some pollinators for me? Bees, that's a good one. Butterflies, my favorite, yes. Anything else? Very good. Bats, excellent. Did you know that we're in the midst of a pollinator crisis? No? Well, we are. And the decline in pollinator populations could have an alarming consequence on our natural ecosystems, as well as food production for us. As pollinators move from flower to flower, they get a dusting of pollen on them, and they will transfer to the next flower. 85% of our plants require insect pollination, which allows the plant to then produce fruit and seeds. These fruits and seeds then feed up to 25% of the diet of our birds. Are you starting to see the connections? Insects, especially pollinators, are the foundations of our local ecosystem. Do you enjoy a juicy watermelon on a hot summer day? What about local blueberries or fresh sweet strawberries? Oh, all these plants and more depend on pollinators to help them produce their crops. But what can you do to help them? Let's go to the gardens and I will show you. Ready? Follow me. Does this look like your typical Florida yard? No, but it could. Your typical American landscape of lawn and ornamental plants doesn't offer much habitat for birds, bees, butterflies, or any other wildlife for that fact. Habitat loss is one of the greatest threats to pollinators, second to pesticides. Besides that, these lawns require more natural resources to maintain, like water, fertilizer, and either your time or money to pay someone else to maintain them for you. Let me ask you, how often do you mow your yard? Once a week? Yep, at least. Every 5 days, a little more like it, yep. Let me ask you this. How much time do you spend working on those ornamental plants in your yard? Way too much time? I agree, me too. What if I told you that if you planted native plants in your landscape, they would require less care and maintenance once established and would attract native butterflies, bees, and other pollinating insects, as well as attract many different songbirds to your space? Would that interest you? Awesome. Guess what? You then are interested in having a pollinator pathway on your property. So what is a native pollinator pathway, you ask? Can anyone tell me? No, that's okay. That's why we're here today. Native pollinator pathways are public and private, pesticide-free corridors of native plants that provide nutrition and refuge to pollinating insects and birds. Your pathway or garden can be large like these or small like a pot. A pathway should provide space, shelter, food, and clean water. Does anyone know what I mean when I say native plant? Correct. A native plant is one that is naturally found in an area and is adapted to thrive in those local soils, exists with the rainfall levels, and the current climate conditions. This means they require less water, less fertilizing, and reduce the needs of pesticides while still supporting biodiversity. Plants introduced from other regions are called non-native. Non-native plants rob pollinators of valuable resources necessary for them to survive. Our native pollinators cannot use non-native plants as nurseries or host plants for their young. We can add habitat structures to our landscape. Over my shoulder is a bird box. Does anyone know what kind of bird box that is? Yes, it's a bluebird box. Did you know that 96% of our songbirds feed their young insects that they will find in your native plant garden? It takes 6,000 juicy caterpillars to feed one nest of young birds. That's a lot. When we have non-native ornamentals planted in our landscape, we are taking the food out of mouths of babes. When we plant native plants and have less lawn, we are encouraging and supporting many different types of pollinating wildlife to come and share our space. How many of you enjoy watching a swallow-tailed butterfly flit by? Or enjoy the sound of buzzy, busy little bees? That's what I thought. Native pollinators that you create will connect our green natural spaces to each other, ensuring the future of local ecosystems due to your efforts. That means you are supporting their local food webs, giving them what they need to survive, and ultimately providing things that we need to survive. The seeds of our future are in your hands. Now, before we go to our last stop, I would like to give you some time here to observe and try to identify some of the pollinators visiting this garden this morning. That means I will give you a checklist, and when you're done, you can just join me down the trail a little bit at the picnic tables, okay? Okay, so did you see some pollinators? Did you notice them feeding? Did any of them have pollen on them? Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So before we go visit the nursery, let's review what we shared today. Creating even the smallest native pollinator pathway will provide habitats that will help to reverse the ongoing decline of native pollinators, ensuring sustainable ecosystems for our future. It's not really that difficult, but has so many rewards and benefits for all our native pollinators and for us. We discussed how habitat loss is one of the greatest threats to pollinators, second to pesticide, and we learned that if we plant pesticide-free corridors of native plants, they will provide nutrition and refuge to pollinators. I hope everyone now understands that pollinator pathways, large or small, that you create will connect our natural green spaces to each other, ensuring the future of our local ecosystems. By a show of hands, does everyone understand the importance of pollinator pathways now? Very good, very good. So, this concludes our walk and talk adventure for today. Directly behind me is the Safety Harbor Garden Club nursery, supported and run by our volunteers. If you'd rather go explore the park some more, you can take the trail directly in front of me and to the left, and it will take you down by our wildflower meadow. If you continue on that trail just a bit further, you will come upon our newest resident, a giant 17-foot gnome made completely from reclaimed wood. And just past him is the wind foam that was recently in the news. If you have enjoyed your visit with us and are interested in any events or programs that we offer, please pick up one of our Real magazines on your way out. Also, there are some pollinator info sheets on that table, as well as ones on native gardens. My business card is there as well in case you need to contact me during your establishment of a pollinator pathway in your landscape. Before we part ways, I would like to know if anyone is willing to sign our native pollinator pledge. It simply states that you will do your best to make at least one small change in your landscape by either planting native, reducing your use of pesticides, changing your lawn size if you can, and support native pollinators through your actions and words. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to sign those. So, one last thought and a parting gift from me to you. If our pollinators run out of resources, food, shelter, clean water, biologists state that within 2 short months, we will be out of food. So, I am passing the future off to you. I will be around for 10 minutes if you have any questions. But first, I would like to thank and acknowledge our generous benefactor of this park, George Weiss. For without his donation of this land, we would not have this magical place to love and learn from. On your way out, stop and say thank you to our garden club volunteers, for without them, these gardens wouldn't hold the beauty and wonder that they do. And lastly, thank you again for visiting us. Have a great visit at the park and have a wonderful day. Don't forget, say hi to a gnome.